Welcome to Alpha Marketing, your go-to resource for unlocking the full potential of your small to medium-sized business. Hosted by Aaron Shishilla, CEO of Wolfpack Advising. Now, let's learn how to dominate your market.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Marketing Alpha. In this episode, I'm sitting down with JT Edgren, a true titan in the home inspection industry. JT is the mastermind behind Central Florida Building Inspectors, CFBI, and Elite Mold Services, two companies that have transformed the way people approach home inspections. With over 25 years in the business, JT's insights into scaling a service-based business, diversifying offerings, and leading a high-performance team are a goldmine for anyone looking to build their own empire. From navigating challenges to embracing innovation, JT shares the strategies that helped him dominate in the inspection industry today in this podcast, and shares how you can apply them to your own business. So JT, with that being said, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Aaron? Good to see you, buddy.
And I know we were talking earlier before we started recording. I just have to comment for the podcast. I love the Lululemon, man. I'm a big Lululemon fan.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have the pants?
I don't have pants, no. I do like their shorts, though. They have good gear. I've also tried another product called Rhone, R-H-O-N-E, and it's pretty good, too.
R-H-O-N-E. I'll have to try them out, yeah, for sure.
This is what this podcast is about, right? It's about fashion tips.
That's what home inspectors and pest control people and just home service owners, they just care about the Lululemon, you know?
Yeah, of course. Who isn't?
Are you into protein powders too?
Well, it's all about muscles. Like the bigger muscles that you have, the bigger the company that you can have. So I'm trying for the first so that I can grow the second.
Right.
There's always steroids, right?
My company's going to be forever small. Hey man, if that was the secret to growing my company, I might have to switch. Okay, let's get into an actual question. So you didn't start CFBI. Your dad started CFBI. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So he's a general contractor from California, moved here when I was a kid, and just kind of started doing it on the side. I think there was one other company that actually was named in our area. And so he just kind of did it on the side, and then it turned into CFBI. And yeah, I started helping him. I mean, I do remember going around with him like after school and checking outlets and stuff while I was probably 10 or 11, but officially started working when I was just right out of high school.
Did you work well with your dad? Because I, like myself and Austin, who you know, probably Austin, co-founder of Wolfpack, like he worked with his parents. Did you work well with your dad?
Yeah, we actually did. So like when I think back on my time with my dad, it was definitely crazy and fun, and like we would goof around, and we have some really, really funny stories over the years. Is it challenging at times? Absolutely. He's a little ADHD, self-reported ADHD too. So like I just remember like situations where we would be late for an inspection. He couldn't find his keys, just completely disorganized, and like they ended up being in the refrigerator because he decided that he should put them in the fridge because he wouldn't forget about them in the refrigerator. So it was a little chaos like that, but it makes for really good stories later.
What? How would you remember that your keys are in the fridge if you put them in the fridge?
I mean, you're going to get your lunch or your water or whatever went through his brain told him that was a good spot to put them.
Okay. I guess if I ever put my keys in the fridge, I would always remember that I put my keys in the fridge because it's such a unique spot, you know?
Yeah, not him though. It did not work out that well for him. So,
okay.
But just crazy things like that, you know.
So fast forward, you started working with him when did you take over CFBI, and like how did that happen? Why did you want to do that?
Yeah, so I started working with him out of in high school. I actually had like a program where I left half days and went and worked. So late 90s, I was working with him. And I really liked it. You know, it really tapped into kind of what I felt like I was good at. It was investigating, it was helping people out, and it just felt really good to do that. I definitely enjoyed it. It was, I could see the money that he was making, and, you know, he kind of floated out the idea like, hey, this could be yours one day sort of thing. So he, in the 2000s, it was basically me and him for quite a while. Like we would just go do paired up inspections, and so I'd ride with him all day. And eventually I got to the point where I'd start doing my own, and he would go do his own. And when that happens, right, like the company can double essentially. So we got to that point, And then he kind of started just stepping back. He was getting a little tired of doing them after almost 20 plus years of doing them himself. And so I relate. But I started doing it myself. And then eventually he was like, hey, you just want to take things over. And since you're already doing it anyways. And so I took it over from him. And yeah, I think I hired my first official inspector probably 2010, somewhere around there. And then, grew the company up with me and him, and got married and started, kind of having a family. And then he left, right? My first inspector left, and it was like soul crushing. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. And so it was really just an earth shattering experience, because I was actually coming to have a meeting to give him a promotion and give him a raise. And he actually turned in his 2 weeks at that point and said he's leaving town. So I think we can all relate to that when you have somebody that you see a lot of promise in, and it's just like they just don't want it, right? So he left, and I was 100% scrambling at that point. I did end up finding another person and trained him. We can get into training if you want to talk about it, but man, my training process back then looked so different than it is now. But it probably took 6 to 9 months to train somebody to get out on the field on their own. And so the crazy thing was, I had me and him up and running, and then the other guy that left actually came back. He moved back in town and said, hey, I'd love to work for you again. And so I definitely was hesitant, but I knew him. I was like, sure, why not? Let's do it. Right. And so we kind of stayed in that like 3 to 4 inspector range for quite a while. I think in 2019, when I went to my first IEB event, I had like 4 inspectors plus myself. And in that time too, like back in 2008, I had created Elite Mold Services. And so I wanted to be able to offer mold testing and other services that weren't under the umbrella of doing a home inspection, to be able to kind of stand apart from home inspectors doing mold testing. I wanted an indoor air quality company. So I started that company. So I think I had myself and one other person in there. So probably about 6 people total.
What do you think changed then? Because 2008, it was just you, you're at the bottom of the market. 2010, you hire your first inspector, and you're running the company. And for a long time period, you have like 3 or 4 inspectors. What were you doing, if anything, for marketing during then? And like, how were you growing?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things, because we've been in the area so long, we had a constant flow of business just because people knew who we were. 2008 was such a crazy time. I don't know if you remember the market back then, but
I wasn't born yet. I'm kidding.
It was like complete recession, right? Like I was showing up to foreclosures left and right. It was a miserable kind of time to do inspections. Their houses didn't have power. The grass was 10 feet tall in the front yards. Like it was just not fun. Marketing wise though, like one of the things that my dad did do well was diversification. And so we always had, it wasn't just like us going out and doing home inspections. We did termite, we did relocation inspections, we did radon testing, we did water testing. We tried to offer as much as we could under kind of that one company. So even if like, let's say home inspection slowed down, maybe the water testing kicked in, right? And like there was a lot of water testing back then. But just different things like that. We did mold testing under our home inspector's license. So as far as marketing goes, there wasn't intentionality around it other than just really just shaking hands, kissing babies, meeting with realtors. They like us. They want us to do their job. They know we're not alarmist. And so like it worked out really well from that point. But to be able to take a 3 or 4 person home inspection company to a 20, 25 person inspection company, like you need a lot more.
Yeah.
It's not just word of mouth at that point. So it looked a lot different.
You joined IEB at some point. What got you to join IEB, and like tell the crowd, like the listeners, what IEB is? I know we just had a podcast with Mark Hummel, but
yeah, so it's Inspection Empire Builder, and it was just like I just kept getting peppered by emails and stuff from these weird people saying like, hey, come join our group and we'll build your business for you and help you build it. I think I had talked to one of the original founders at one point, and like he was speaking language that like I really like to hear, like, hey, we can help you really get better at your systems and processes and build you a better company where you're not having to stay in it all the time. And so I joined in 2019. I went to my first event. It was in Texas. And it was like the fall of 2019. And, it's a group of home inspectors trying to build businesses. And there was people up on the stage talking about things that like I literally had no idea about, chart of accounts and marketing tactics and adding on, extra companies under the umbrella of a main company, and just things that I was like, whoa, this sounds like I don't know what's going on, but I need to be here. And so I just got kind of plugged in. Fast forward in my IEB career, I'm still a member, but I'm also one of the coaches now too. So I actually coach other businesses on how to build and sustain home inspection companies. So it's kind of a neat full circle there that not only now I'm a client, but I'm also a coach too and helping people.
What do you think changed in your mind? Because it seems like it's 10 years of you, 3-4 inspectors, and then all of a sudden you make this commitment to IEB. And now, did you always have that fire in you where it's like, wow, I want to do all this stuff? And like, what do you think changed?
Yes and no. I've always been a very driven and determined person, and I'm very focused and disciplined is probably another good word to describe me. However, I struggled at different points in my growth journey to when you're at 3 or 4 inspectors, the idea of having a 50 inspector company is just mind blowing, right? You're like, I just don't even know how that's possible. So I always kind of set goals that were realistic and felt good to me, because I have to get behind my own stuff if I really want to keep pushing forward on it. So just to say I just want to build this company so that I've got millions of dollars, that doesn't really excite me. But the idea of saying, hey, building this company will help me get out of the field and be able to spend time with my family and my kids and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That sounds really nice to me. So it was kind of one of those things. I read a good book too when I was kind of in the struggle phase of building a business and not really knowing where I wanted it to go, but it's called Small Giants. I don't know if you've ever read it before.
No.
Yeah, it's Bo Berman or something, but it's a really interesting book, and he takes about 6 or 7 different companies as an example and does case studies on them about companies that intentionally remain small, but it's intentional, right? And we are talking big companies. One of the examples that they have in the book is Cliff Bars. And the guy that owned Cliff Bar was literally at the signing table to sign his company over to a Nestle or somebody like that, right? A big thing. And he stopped and brought it back in and was like, look, I'm not going to sell. And so he intentionally kept it small, but they've grown to this massive company because of it, right? And so just learning different things like that helped me be okay with maybe the next version of what my company's going to look like. And I always say it's growth with intentionality. It's growth not for the sake of growing. It's because we want something to be better, out of it. So it's been a neat journey, and it's definitely changed from what I thought I was going to want to even just knowing the possibilities that are out there, because that's also a big thing, right? I didn't even know that half of this stuff was possible before I came into IEB. And then hearing people as they grow in their journey gives me inspiration to actually say, hey, I actually do want that for myself. Mm-hmm. So
what do you think is possible now for yourself, or where are you headed next?
Yeah, I'm liking where I'm at right now, honestly. So if I could just break down my companies, we've got over in CFBI, I'd say we have about 30 people total. We just hired 2 more inspectors this week. I think we're at 24 home inspectors. And so it's a good spot where we're at. I think
that's huge.
Yeah, it's big, right? And honestly, one of our biggest issues right now is just capacity and making sure that we have enough people to serve our clients. So I don't see that stopping anytime soon. And there's always natural attrition. People leave, people have babies, people move, people get different jobs, they want to go do their own thing, whatever. So just building that bench of people is always really important, always having hiring feelers out there. And then for my mold company, we've got 4 assessors, an operations person, 2 operations people, and myself. And so we've got about a 6 or 7 person team over there. So, I'm really happy with how things are going for each company. For the mold company, we're looking at doing 1,900 inspections this year, or jobs. And then for the home inspection company, our goal is 7,000 inspections this year. So I'm really happy with how things are going. I want to keep growing, right? We have initiatives within our company that we're working on. From a marketing standpoint, we're building out our commercial division a little bit better so that it's kind of independent of our home inspection company. We have some other potentials on the table, like leak detection for pools and maybe bringing in repairs down the road. So we've just got a lot of stuff like that. But I don't, my dad kind of pigeonholed us with the name of the company. So it's Central Florida Building Inspectors. So unless we decide to rebrand, I think our geography's been figured out for us as far as where we're going. But that doesn't mean to say that I can't create something new. And that's kind of like our goal with the commercial company, is that we're still using the CFBI brand and very similar imagery, logos, that kind of thing, but it's going to be statewide. And so we have that potential now to offer the commercial services then statewide. So, home inspection, I see it still growing. We still have a lot of market share that we could potentially snatch up. And so our efforts are always focused on that, because that also feeds the other channels too,
I do want to dive into the mold services and elite mold a little bit, but my last question on the home inspection side is, from the standpoint of, you're at 3 and 4 inspectors, you join IEB, this opens up your world of what's possible, and you've had this amazing growth since then. If you had to put a finger on like what specific kind of marketing activities or things you were doing that has made the shift, because obviously it's a lot of it has to do with your mindset, what's possible, and setting the right goals, but a lot of it too is like what do your marketing actions look like? What would you attribute that to?
That's a great question. So I love marketing. Like, this is one thing that gets me smiling really big, and I think that's why we always get along really well too, because it's like it's a necessary evil, but like I look at it as a challenge. I look at it as like I love branding, I love presentation, I love the marketing aspects, I love just learning how customers pick things and why they pick things and how to make things easier for them. As far as like tactics go, I think what we ran into is when we were at the 3 to 4 person, range, and it was just maybe one phone person that's scheduling jobs. There was all of these tasks of things that were not getting done because we didn't have a marketing person. And so we call them growth people in our company, but I didn't have somebody doing the follow-up calls to agents. I didn't have anybody doing presentations. I personally don't like going out in front of agents and talking to them, so I just never did it, and so there was big holes in our company that prevented us to grow further. So for me, it was hiring somebody that could take on that role and kind of grow with me. So I looked for somebody that knew a little bit about home inspections, that had the mindset for marketing, and I hired my first growth person with full transparency, saying like, look, I don't have all the answers here. I know the things that we're not doing, and so let's start out from there, and then let's fill in the gaps too on things that you come across that maybe we could be doing. Fast forward, we have 4 people right now in our growth department, our marketing department, in-house for CFBI. And so we've got our leader, Natalie, we've got Mike, and we've got admin, Stacia, and then we have a VA too that helps out with some of our social media content and just doing stuff online. So we've got a team. We're looking for another boots on the ground growth person. And so from that standpoint, that's pretty transactional in the sense that like it's meeting agents, it's making sure that they're happy. We want our customers to be really satisfied. Like, just a simple tip that a lot of people don't do with home inspections. One of the areas that we saw as a potential lead in was just introducing ourselves ahead of the inspection to agents that haven't used us before, right? So like, I think a lot of times we just say, oh, I'll meet them out at the inspection. Well, most agents are kind of petrified if they haven't worked with you that they're going to come in and just blow up the deal. So we just make it an effort prior to the job. Our admin station will call the agent and just introduce us and say, hey, we got you. We're going to take good care of you. I just wanted you to know that we're coming out there, and introduce us. It's a simple action. It takes 30 seconds to a minute, but it helps set the tone for the inspection. It makes the inspectors more at ease because the agent's not all crazy out there. So like, just really diving into kind of those different areas that we can be impactful around the transaction and make it memorable too. Because that's always one of the biggest reasons. Like, when you think about referrals, think about an AC guy or a roof guy or a plumber that you use personally. The only reason you're referring them out to your friends is because you like them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the reason. And so as long as we can be likable to everybody, then we're going to get referred. So that's kind of like on that side of things, right? And then there's the digital front too, which has always been my kind of, I love dabbling in that space, and I like being on websites, and I like SEO. So I speak the language pretty well. I know what's happening. So from that standpoint, we have a really strong website. We get pulled up organically. We're working in the AI space right now to make sure that we're showing up really strong in that space too, because that's up and coming. So it's like you can't just pick one and put all your eggs in that basket, right? It's a little bit from everything, and you have to at least be doing certain things in order to move the business ahead. And then if you find something that works really well, like double down on it, you know?
Totally see that. And I haven't heard of that idea of, hey, this inspection is on the books and this is a new agent. Let's jump ahead of it and actually connect with them before the inspection. That's an interesting take. And I could see that being very, very good, because this agent doesn't have any interaction, doesn't know what to expect. But if you call ahead of time, kind of have a personal relationship ahead of time, then they're a lot more at ease when it comes to the actual inspection, probably.
Yep, it sets the tone, right? And like when you look at your referral sources as a business, if 99% or 90% of your jobs are coming from referral agents, well, you probably don't need to make a whole lot of calls. But for us, like our referral base, I mean, because we're being found online, whether it be Google, Yelp, website, whatever, most of the agents that are attached to those deals that the buyer's finding us, they've not had any interactions with us. Hopefully they have and they know us, but if they haven't, like that's a really good opportunity to shine. So that's just like one thing that our company does, you know, to kind of stand out from the others. Because you know, when you're a single man operator and you're driving around from job to job and you're eating lunch in your truck between inspections, like you don't have time to even think about that kind of stuff, let alone take action on it. So having some sort of dedicated marketing person that can help out in those areas is really impactful. A lot of people too ask, and especially in IEB, they're like, when do I hire my first marketing person? And like when you're talking growth and boots on the ground, like I'm talking about, it probably does take a few inspectors to be able to support that role, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times that work does fall back on the owner. So every inspector that you hire should hopefully free up your schedule a little bit more to be able to do some of those activities. Some people really love it. Most people don't. You know, a lot of us home inspectors, like we just like technical stuff. We just like checking houses. We don't want to call people and talk on the phone and schmooze with them. So having somebody that really thrives in that area is really helpful.
Yeah, I heard a lot of inspectors like the Home Inspector Humor Facebook group. So one of your marketing guys, you said his name was Mike, right? Dude, Mike's a hoot. I love Mike. I love me some Mike. I could hang out with him all the time. He's always super happy, and he dresses fun. Like, and so I could see him just being I don't know, just a I want to say weapon, but he's an awesome weapon for CFBI, man.
Yeah, he's a social butterfly, right? Like Natalie is there and she's great. She can go do the things, but she doesn't love doing them as much as Mike does, right? Like Mike thrives in that environment. He floats around at events. He's very memorable, you know, whether he has a cat eating a taco on his shirt or whatever it is, right? It's something silly and it's like, it's conversation starters. So he's one of the many, you know, people that make this company successful. And so that's what I'm looking for, right? Like we have to fill in our gaps. We have to look for the people that will provide what we aren't able to do ourselves or what we currently don't have. And then that makes a really robust team. The other big thing too with marketing, like from a team aspect, when you're building a marketing team, you really want cohesiveness, or at least I do, I should say. Like there's a lot of companies that have gotten big over the years, but they have more of like that dog eat dog kind of mentality where they've got growth people running around trying to get agents, and it's more of like a headhunter kind of situation where it's like, no, that's my agent, no, that's my agent. I want all hands on deck. I want everybody rowing in the right direction. I want everybody to win when we win as a company. And so I've structured kind of their bonuses too to be tied into just our company overall health. I don't want that kind of like bitterness and fighting about like, oh, well, I went out and saw that agent 10 months ago or whatever. Now you're using him and you're getting commissions off of it. Like I want everybody in the same boat with us and all rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I could see that happening. You know, obviously on my standpoint, I work with a lot of different companies that have their commission structures or their growth opportunities or their growth operations in many different, like set up many different ways. Everybody's kind of a little bit different, but I 100% agree with you. You don't want people that are fighting within that for something. Let's shift gears. You have CFBI and now you have multiple different companies. Why multiple different companies? What changed? Like, why do you think that's a good idea instead of everything maybe being under one or just doubling down more on CFBI?
Yeah, I mean, part of it was self-serving in the beginning. Like I created that company, and I've thoroughly enjoyed learning about mold and indoor air quality because it's been a growing issue, right? And people are learning more about the indoor air quality space and how impactful it is. Houses are getting tighter. So like that type of stuff really interested me. It also gave me a break from the day-to-day of doing home inspections. Like I loved going out and doing mold tests, and we would do a mold inspection first and recommend sampling. The client would approve it, and then just getting the lab results and kind of dissecting everything and making further recommendations on remediation. It was just such a change of pace because over the 20 years of doing home inspection, I've done thousands and thousands of home inspections, and it was you go up, you go out to the house, there's a buyer, there's a seller, there's the agents on either side, and it's always these weird dynamics. And so it gave me that opportunity to be able to just go meet with a homeowner that's suffering and sick and needs help. So it was a different change of pace for me.
Yeah.
The other thing that it presented to me too, and again, this is all very self-serving, is it's not as time consuming as a home inspection, and the requirements for getting the reports out aren't as tight, right? Like I could send a report for a mold job out 3-4 days later and nobody would really bat an eye at it. Whereas like they need home inspections tomorrow or today.
Yeah.
So there was a pressure relief for me to say, hey, I could get a few mold inspections done and I don't have that like pressing need to get it all done. Having kids too changes everything. Once you have kids, it's like, they need stuff in the evening, they need stuff overnight. And so there's just all these added pressures that it just gave me a little relief on. The last part of it too is that it's really helpful to have just another source of income that's not tied into the real estate market. For me, it's like you hear a lot of companies, and I've gone through it as well, like, oh, the market's crazy right now. Oh, people aren't buying houses. Interest rates are up. Well, there's always people getting sick, unfortunately, from mold and water-related issues. And so it provides another stability in the income side of things. And it really provides a great value, too. Like, it just can't tell you how many times I've gone out and people are like, oh my God, I'm getting sick from my house. I don't know what's going on. And I open up the kitchen cabinets and I pull off maybe like a little plate from around the plumbing, and it's just solid black back there, right? And there's toxic mold growing behind the cabinets all the way down. And they're able to then remediate it and get it fixed, and hopefully their health improves. 9 times out of 10 it does. So just being able to provide some value that's outside of a home inspection was really, really helpful for me, just in my overall well-being. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
That sounds hugely rewarding compared to inspections where you're probably getting yelled at from everybody.
Yeah, even just having other businesses, right? It doesn't have to be mold. Maybe it's pest control. Maybe it's pool inspection, whatever it is, right? Like it breaks up the monotony of the day to day. And so it's really helpful. I'm sure too, even in your space, right? Like if you just had to do link building and blog posting all day, every day, like you'd probably go crazy. Whereas like you get to work with different clients and different needs, and you're going into AI now. And like, there's just variability that I think people, especially like us, probably thrive in more,
Mm-hmm. So are you ever going to open a pest control company?
It's a good question. It's a very long history of yes and no's, and it's happening and it's not happening. As of right now, it's a no. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. But it's always interested in me. I'm at a point though too in my career that I love the idea of recurring revenue. It always interests me. It sounds amazing. Yeah. I do know because I've been around a lot of people that have tried to build companies that have been really successful. Some of them have not, and they folded up, pretty quickly. When you're talking about lower cost services, it's a little tricky, right? Like you're going out and doing pest control for $60-$80 every other month, maybe every quarter. Like, it's hard to get excited about a $40 or $50 job. So that's kind of where my mentality's at right now. But I also know that like they sell for multiples. It's not about just getting that one individual job. It's about building routes. And so like, I know that if I do it, I'm not going to be the one that's going to be leading it. Could I figure it out eventually? Yes. But I'd rather partner with somebody that knows how to do it. We get it done, and it's more of a partnership situation. I'm more interested right now in any opportunities that are bigger ticket items. Like I like big numbers, for services. So if I'm going out to a job, I'd like to see a few $1,000s, per job. So what that's going to look like in the future could be pool leak detection with repair, commercial inspections. Those are pretty big price tags. Like I think we have a $2,100 $21,000 commercial inspection tomorrow, and we've got three inspectors on it, so it's going to be a great day for those three guys and for the company. And I've still got my other 20 inspectors going out and doing home inspections too. So stuff like that gets me a little bit more excited than doing a quarterly pest service.
Way to flex on us.
just trying to inspire.
Yeah, so like as we speak, I mean, they're doing a $50,000 commercial job, and then the rest of my inspectors, they got their schedules full.
I mean, I will say that's not the norm though. Just happened to be really good timing with our podcast.
No, it's the norm. Okay, cool. So I want to get into one of our last segments here. You're a coach at IEB. You've made this massive shift. What's your advice for people that maybe are aspiring to do all this stuff? What are some essential steps they need to do?
And when you say all this stuff, you mean like building a big business that supports life and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can go tomorrow to open up several companies and follow in your footsteps in that way, right? But like, maybe that's not a good first step for them. Maybe they need some foundational stuff. So what are some essential steps that you think people should go in? What's kind of conversations? Give me some insights into your IEB coaching and the people that should join IEB that aren't in it.
I was going to say the first two words that came to mind were having support and then also leadership development. And so for me, like having people around you that are a few steps, 10 steps, 20 steps ahead of you, it keeps the inspiration up, right? If I'm hanging out with people that are in my same spot, you're going to hear about all the struggles, about all the like, oh, there's nobody good out there. I can't find anybody to come work for me. Whereas like if I'm hanging out with, Rob Lemoyne of the world or whoever else, like he's crushing it, right? And he's having amazing success. It gives me inspiration and it gives me the ability to see things that maybe I don't see or realize that like I'm not thinking about things in the way that's helpful to me. So having a really good support system like an IEB is really helpful, and especially in the home inspection space. They have such good models built out. Like when I came aboard, they had some stuff that was kind of just like haphazardly thrown up on Facebook, and like people would share files and, hey, this is the cost calculator that we use to figure out how much an inspector costs. But now it's so organized. It's so concise on our portals. Like when you sign up with IEB, you get onboarded, you learn how to use your portal. It has all the stuff about making your MVVC, which is your mission, vision, value, culture. Like all that foundational stuff is really just at the tip of your fingertips. It's really important though to note that you could have all of this stuff. I mean, it's also one of the things with today, day and age, right? Like we have all this information available. It's really about finding the time within yourself to dedicate it to work on the business. We always say like, don't work in the business, work on the business. And so it's really important to make sure that no matter what you're doing, you have to take a break from it. Like if you're in the business still, you got to pull back and you got to work on the business. So definitely the support side of things. I think the leadership side of things too is really important, and it's been a big area of growth for me. Like the leader that I was in 2019 is so drastically different than the person I am today, and the way that I lead my company and I talk to people. I still think I had a skill back then that obviously made it so that I could develop this company, but constantly trying to be better as a person, as a leader, as my business knowledge, my emotional intelligence. I think that's a really big part of this that people ignore. And unfortunately, like, when you come from the 80s, the raising of the 80s, like emotions weren't really talked about a whole lot. And like, we didn't really sit around and talk about our feelings a whole lot. We were just like, hey, rub some dirt on it and shut up sort of thing. So like, just spending some time and actually understanding a little bit more about the emotional space too, so that you can connect with people. Because business is so emotional, right? Like you've got all these emotions going on when you're running a business. Like, for example, that guy leaving, like I felt like I was kicked in the stomach when my first inspector left. And, I could have made this big emotional mess and yelled at him or whatever and like completely burned a bridge. But no, I left it, I guess, on good terms where he wanted to come back and work for me again. So, but also just interacting with everybody on your team and learning about what makes them tick and how they need to be responded to. Like some people need time to think about answers. And that's something that's come from like really understanding like who's in front of me and saying like, okay, if I'm going to ask you to do something, I don't need an answer right now, but I'd like an answer by tomorrow. It alleviates the pressure on that person that doesn't want to give that answer immediately. And it sets up the expectations that I have as a leader to say, hey, I'm expecting an answer, but I don't need it right now. Whereas like people are in those positions and they have bosses or people that are leading them that they don't care about that kind of stuff, right? They're like, give me an answer now, and then it's the wrong answer, and then I'm going to make you feel bad about it, and then they're going off and doing their work poorly and worrying about that. So it is really like it's playing a chess game to some degree, but it is with real people, it's with real feelings, it's with real money and real emotions. And so I think the better that you can learn to be just a better human and learn more about yourself, the better you're going to show up for your team.
Do you think the emotional side is probably one of the biggest like pitfalls that people fall into, that they don't pay attention? I would say in the home service space, like you got a lot of people that, are the older generation of the guys that think that part doesn't matter,
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what kind of company you want, like if you want somebody to feel valued and heard and seen, like you probably do need to dive into that space. I mean, there are some jobs where you just got to go out there and do the job and not complain about it. And like, if there's issues, maybe we talk about it later. There's a generational difference. I mean, it's pretty obvious, like 20 something people are different than 50 somethings and 60 somethings. Like there is generational stuff that you do need to be aware of as well. I would say that like just working on yourself is probably the most important thing. The awareness and the ability to recognize that kind of stuff is probably more impactful. You can do what you want with it, but most people are not aware of that stuff going on, or the undercurrents of emotions and tones and expectations, and just there's a lot of stuff that people aren't even aware of. So as long as you're aware of it, I think that's probably the first step. And then I think it does make you a better leader, right? Like for example, like I had a guy that is leaving our company and he's going to a different industry, but like he called me the other day. He's like, hey, I just want to make sure you heard about it. And I was like, yeah, I did, man. I was really bummed to hear that you were leaving, but I totally understand, and I understand why you're doing it. And so he was just like, I just want to let you know, like, this has been the best place that I've ever worked at. He's like, it's not because of you guys that I'm leaving. It's just my body. I'm getting tired. My knees hurt and all that stuff. Like, it's just not working for me anymore. But he's like, I just want to let you know, like, genuinely, you have an amazing place to work. And if something changes on my end, like, I would love the opportunity to come back and potentially work for you. And so just like hearing real life, examples of that just makes me feel really good that like we do have a good thing going here. And I think it's partially because of me, it's partially because of my team that I've developed, and they've been working on themselves to then lead, because I don't have as much interaction on the day-to-day with everybody that I used to, right? Like I used to be in the weeds with everybody. Now it's more of like a CEO kind of level management, but I'm still available to everybody. I still do all-in team calls with them. I do activities and other things. So I am around, but it's just different now than it was back when it was 3 inspectors,
Okay, well, to kind of close this out, JT, I think you've shared so much information. I think it's hugely beneficial for a lot of different people to kind of that want to aspire to open up many different companies and book a $21,000 commercial job while they're on a podcast. But how do people get in touch with you or find you if they want to hear about you? Maybe somebody's listening and they want that job that you have right now. What's a good place to connect with you?
So it's a good question. I've got a lot of different avenues. I don't want everybody texting me or calling me, so I probably won't give out my personal cell, but I'd be happy to connect with somebody through email. So my company email that's probably the best to get a hold of me is jt@cfbinspect.com. So jt@cfbinspect.com. Our website is cfbinspect.com. My mold company, if you want to check us out, is moldinspect.org. And those are probably the two best places to see me. I'm on social media as well. I've got more of like a private kind of internal page, but if your friend requests me and I've talked to you or heard from you, I'll definitely accept you.
That's awesome. JT, thank you for being here on Marketing Alpha. And for everybody listening, reach out to JT if you want to kind of grow into his path and become rich with commercial inspections. Anyway, thanks, JT, for being here. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for listening to Alpha Marketing. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other business owners and marketers. Your support enables us to continue bringing you actionable advice and the tools you need to thrive. Join us next time for more insights with Aaron Shishilla, and keep striving to be the alpha in your market.